In a game where Arsenal fans are expecting nothing but an absolute Liverpool thrashing, up comes Arne Slot and the players with an absolute midfield masterclass. Now, philosophically, this was a clash between two types of managers with two different approaches. Arne Slot, who likes to approach the game by starting from midfield, and Mikel Arteta, who likes to approach the game by being defensively compact and building that foundation from there. But for the first 20-25 minutes, they had all of the possession, they had all of the chances. Expect our chance where we had with Cornor Bradley hitting the crossbar coming from a mistake in them defensively. But we did a really good job of containing them, using that midfield and getting as few chances going through to our defense as possible. And one philosophical tweak that Arne Slot made was bringing in Cody Gakpo, who is a very divisive player for most Liverpool fans, but in this game he had a very specific role, not only in attack, which we didn't do too much of, but in defense. In defense, we had Cody Gakpo joining the defense and supporting Milos Kerkez, especially as the game went on. In the first few moments, Bukayo Saka had the best of Milos Kerkez, but as the game progressed, Milos Kerkez grew into that game and he played really well against Bukayo Saka, who ended up even getting substituted for not providing any real threat except in those first 20-25 minutes. Now in midfield, in the second half, we played really well, not only in defense and in containing Arsenal's opportunities, but I felt Gravenberch was a real bulldozer in how he approached his game with the ball and without the ball. With the ball, he was not afraid to get into the tight spaces, make tens, push Liverpool up, push Liverpool higher up the pitch and get those fouls from Zubamendi and Declan Rice, who didn't really know how to deal with him. I thought Florian Wirtz linked the play perfectly and played across that front three and also played a little bit in that number 10 position. Now, when it came to the attack, that's where we lacked a lot. With the likes of Frimpong, he could get behind the left back, whether it was Nkapia or whether it was Miles Lewis Kelly, who absolutely got rinsed by him. Looked like he wasn't even interested in running alongside Jeremy Frimpong. The problem was now with the final ball or with the final shot. We had one opportunity where Frimpong could have crossed it to Florian Wirtz, but didn't cross it to Florian Wirtz. It was a really poor ball that got deflected or intercepted. But in terms of playing until we get to that final position, I thought we played really well. We played with a real intensity that I think if we had Ekitike in this game, it would have been absolutely a different game, because he would be up there clinical as usual, taking those shots. At some point, you were wondering why these players are not even taking those shots and putting David Raya to the test. We know there's a little bit of a mistake in him in most of these big games, but I thought overall this game was a good performance, and there's a lot from this game in terms of how we played, in terms of the intensity that Szoboszlai, for example, showed in pressing, and the intensity of passing the ball around, and the accuracy and the incision that we showed with the passing. I thought there's a lot to take with this performance, especially given the past few performances that we took a lot of draws from. We could have done much better had we played this way in those previous games. So for the next two games, there's a lot that we can take from this performance, plus the bonus that some of our attackers would be coming back. I think Ekitike might be good to play in the following game or the following game after that, should we decide to rotate in the FA Cup game. But it was a really good performance. One thing that wasn't really good in the game was the lack of class from some of the Arsenal players. And I'm going to come to Gabriel Martinely, but I think the issue started even before that with Gabriel, their centre-back, when Florian Wirtz was down. I think it was when he was pleading for the penalty, or it might have been on another case. He's down, he's injured. You don't know what his diagnosis is, so it's not your interest to be picking the player up. Even if you think he's faking that injury, it's not your place to be picking him up and asking him to get up. And a good example of the class that some of the Liverpool players showed in this game was when Gabriel Martinely faked an injury, diving in our own box looking for a penalty. Alisson went to him, even as Liverpool continued to play, went to him, checked on him, asked him, "Are you okay?" and didn't really drag him up or drag him off the pitch as he did when Cornor Bradley was clearly injured from twisting his knee in making that clearance. Now, I'll give him the benefit of saying, well, I don't really know what the diagnosis is. I don't know if he's injured or if he's faking injury, but it's never the obligation of the players to be the ones to take the player off the pitch. In cases where they see that the player is maybe wasting time, they need to call the official, as they usually do, as the Liverpool players usually do, and say, look at the time. The staff on the touchline also will do the same and say, look at the clock, look at the time wasting. I hope you're adding this to the clock. It's never the obligation of the players to be taking opposition players who are injured off the pitch. Now, it wasn't only him taking him off the pitch. He first hits him with the ball, unnecessary. He nudges him with his foot, nudges him with his knee as he's down, and the final straw is him trying to pick him up now and throw him or roll him out of the pitch. And this is totally uncalled for, but again, the class of Liverpool, you saw with the Liverpool players coming out after the game, they didn't inflame the situation. Arne Slot also did not inflame the situation anymore. He simply played it down, but called on to the larger issue of time wasting in the game. And the irony is, Arsenal are amongst the biggest time wasters in the Premier League. Arsenal, every time they have the ball for a throw-in, they'll take a long time before they do that. Arsenal, every time they have any set play, they'll take a long time before they do that. Even if it's not a set play where they can cross into the box, Arsenal, at every goal kick, they'll take a long time doing that. And yesterday, in moments, even some of their friends were getting on their backs for their time wasting in opportunities where it's nil-nil. There's literally no reason to be wasting time and pushing the clock in that manner. But I think it's part of their strategy. So maybe Martinelli and Gabriel were judging the Liverpool players who were injured on their very low standard of time wasting that they have. But overall, it was a really good game, and Liverpool played really well, and there's a lot that we should take from this game going on to the rest of our season. And to the Man City fans, we've done you the favor. It's over to you guys now.